Welcome back to another lesson in the 5 foundational techniques of rock drumming. I'm Nate Brown, and this series of lessons is brought to you by Drum Magazine and OnlineDrummer.com. All of these techniques, as well as hundreds and hundreds of examples of how these techniques have been used in chart-topping songs, you can get my book, Chart-Topping Drum Beats, the 60s through today. You can get that at OnlineDrummer.com. You might also be interested in Chart-Topping Drum Fills, the 60s through today, by my friend Dawn Richardson. And this book goes over foundational drum fill techniques as well as hundreds of examples of chart-topping songs using them. Today's lesson goes over 16th note phrasing on the snare drum. Last week we did 16th phrasing on the bass. We're going to do a little on the snare as well as include it on the bass too. To follow along with this lesson, you'll need the free sheet music at OnlineDrummer.com. Number 1 on the sheet music is Jumper by Third Eye Blind. And if you remember in the last lesson, we were 16th phrasing with the bass drum, which means that the bass drum can be played in between the hi-hat strokes, which are playing the 8th notes. So it's played on the E's and U's. The snare phrasing, same thing, except it's the snare that falls on the E's or U's. Check out Jumper by Third Eye Blind. Now in this one, the 8th notes are played with the ride cymbal, but it's the same technique. You're just moving your stick. And I'll play that and count it slowly. 1 and 2 and up 3 and 4 and. Just make sure, as I said in the last lesson, that your 8th notes stay consistent, even when you have a snare stroke in between. You know, one thing, I'll move back over to the hi-hat. One thing you can do to practice that is just play, I guess it's just straight 16th notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. When you do that, your right stick is actually playing the 8th notes, and your left stick is the E's and the U's. Once you're comfortable with that, you're really just taking a portion of that, like on Jumper, on 1 and 2 and. That's that and. 1 E and 2 E and. Number 2 on the sheet music is I'm Bad, I'm Nationwide by ZZ Top. This example mixes 16th note phrasing on the snare drum with the 16th note phrasing on the bass drum from the last lesson. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. So you've got 2 basses in a row. And 2 and 3 E and 4 and. Don't try to play these too fast at first. Slow them way down so that you can play them in time. And the more you do that, the more your body's going to build that muscle memory to be able to play it without even thinking about it. Number 3 on this sheet music is Soul to Squeeze by Red Hot Chili Peppers. And what this does is it takes the snare displacement technique we learned in lesson 2 and it displaces it to a 16th note instead of the 8th like in lesson 2. Check this one out. Hopefully you could hear that snare displacement. Really gives it a funky feel. This beat has no snare drum on count 2. It moves it to the right before 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You'll notice that there's no 16th note phrasing on the bass drum. It's just 8th phrasing. That can be hard to wait for count 3 after that 1 and 2 and. You'll have 2 hi-hat strokes. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. And the second time you only have 1 hi-hat stroke. The rest of the sheet music doesn't have any bass or snare strokes written in. Just like in the other lessons, use that to write out your own beats with snare and bass phrasing. Sit behind the kit as you do it and make changes to find stuff that meets your style. I'm going to goof around with some snare phrasing and bass phrasing. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and come up with some great grooves on that sheet music. Remember that there are pages of coordination exercises for 16th note phrasing, as well as hundreds of chart-topping examples from chart-topping songs. You can get Chart-Topping Drum Beats 1 at onlinedrummer.com. The next lesson in this series covers embellishing your drum beats with the open hi-hat. I'll see you in the next lesson. Keep drumming.